I accidentally grabbed the Dragon Lady hybrid. At the worst time now, she won't stop clinging to me. Lieutenant Jake Morrison never expected his routine patrol on the Outer Rim station to turn into a nightmare that would change his life forever. Whoa. Alarm bells rang through the metal corridors as he ran toward the research lab, where strange sounds echoed in the darkness. The station was under attack by hostile aliens called the Vorth, who wanted to capture the secret experiments being conducted. In the lower levels, Jake had no idea what kind of research was happening down there, but his orders were clear: protect the lab at all costs. As he reached the heavy metal door marked with warning signs in 3 different languages, Jake heard a terrifying roar from inside, followed by the sound of breaking glass and screaming. The door was slightly open and emergency red lights flashed through the gap. Jake pushed the door open and stepped into chaos. The lab was destroyed, with broken equipment scattered everywhere and strange blue liquid dripping from shattered containers. In the center of the mess stood a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. She looked mostly human, but with scales that shimmed like emeralds along her arms and neck. Her eyes glowed bright gold in the dim light, and small horns curved from her forehead. Her long black hair moved as if underwater, and when she turned to look at Jake, he saw that her fingers ended in sharp claws. The dragon hybrid was trapped under a fallen beam that pinned her leg to the floor. She struggled to free herself, but the metal was too heavy. 3 dead Vorth soldiers lay nearby, their bodies torn apart by her claws. Jake knew he should run and call for backup, but something about her desperate, golden eyes made him step forward instead. The hybrid watched him approach with a mix of fear and hope. Without thinking, Jake grabbed the beam and used all his strength to lift it. The hybrid pulled her injured leg free and stumbled backward against the wall. Jake expected her to attack or run away, but instead she did something completely unexpected. She reached out and grabbed his arm with both hands. Her claws were careful not to cut his skin, but her grip was firm and warm, through some kind of telepathic connection. Jake suddenly felt her emotions flooding into his mind: gratitude, relief, and something deeper that made his heart race. The hybrid spoke in a voice like music mixed with thunder. "Thank you, human Jake Morrison. I am called Luna, and I am in your debt by the ancient laws of my people." Before Jake could ask what that meant, more alarms started ringing, and the sound of marching feet echoed from the corridor. The Vorth had found the lab and were coming fast. Luna looked toward the door with fear in her glowing eyes. "We must leave now," she said, still holding his arm. "They come for me and will kill anyone who stands in their way." Jake wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but there was no time. He helped Luna limp toward a maintenance shaft in the corner of the lab. As they climbed into the narrow space, Jake could hear the Vorth soldiers breaking down the main door. The maintenance tunnels were dark and cramped, but Luna seemed to know where she was going. Her scales gave off a faint light that helped them navigate through the maze of pipes and cables. Jake followed close behind, trying not to think about how her warm hand never let go of his wrist. They crawled for what felt like hours until they reached an emergency pod bay on the far side of the station. Luna pulled Jake toward one of the escape pods, but he hesitated. "I cannot leave my post," he said. "My duty is to protect this station." Luna turned to face him, and Jake saw tears in her golden eyes. "The station is lost," she whispered. "The Vorth have planted bombs in the reactor core. In 10 minutes, this place will be space dust." As if to prove her point, explosions started echoing through the walls and the lights flickered. Jake realized she was right, and quickly started the launch sequence for the escape pod A's. Their pod shot away from the station. Jake watched through the small window as the massive structure exploded in a ball of fire and debris. Hundreds of people had been on that station, including his friends and commanding officers. Luna squeezed his hand gently. "I am sorry for your loss, Jake Morrison, but you saved my life, and now I will save yours many times over." Jake looked at her confused. "What do you mean by the laws of my people?" "When someone saves a dragon hybrid, that person becomes their bonded protector, and the hybrid becomes their eternal guardian. We are linked now, until death parts us." Jake stared at her in shock. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means," Luna said with a small smile that showed her sharp teeth, "I will never leave your side. I will fight your enemies and share your burdens. Your life is now my life to protect." The escape pod drifted through space toward the nearest human colony, while Jake tried to process what had happened. He had lost everything: his job, his home, his friends, but somehow gained something extraordinary. Luna curled up next to him in the cramped pod, her warm scales pressing against his arm. Even in sleep, her hand remained wrapped around his wrist as if she feared he might disappear. Jake realized his quiet life as a station security officer was over. Now he was bonded to a dragon hybrid who could tear apart armed soldiers with her bare hands, and who apparently planned to follow him everywhere for the rest of his life. As their pod approached the distant lights of New Earth colony, Jake wondered if this was the beginning of an adventure or a disaster. Maybe it was both. Luna opened her golden eyes and smiled at him. With genuine warmth. "Do not worry, Jake Morrison," she said softly. "I will teach you the ways of my people, and together we will face whatever comes." Jake looked down at their joined hands and felt a strange sense of rightness, despite everything that had gone wrong. Perhaps being accidentally bonded to a Dragon Lady hybrid was not the worst fate in the universe. The escape pod continued its journey toward an uncertain future, carrying two beings whose lives were now forever intertwined by chance and ancient magic.